Recording this video after close of trade Friday, 27th of May 2011. It's the end of the week. We've got a long weekend, Memorial Day, Monday in the US. A lot of people kind of weren't trading on Friday. We ended up with extremely low volume, about 1.1 million contracts traded. Tiny little bar. Top to bottom range I think was only about 8 points kind of intraday, and we're up at 1330 here. It's a very kind of good illustration of a day that happens after a trending day. So this is 4,500 tip bar chart. This is the open of today. This is the open of Thursday, and you can see this is the trend move that we had during Thursday into the close and the open onto Friday. And after trending moves, we go into cyclical patterns, and I often talk about kind of cyclical patterns, kind of bouncing between highs and lows, but they're not necessarily kind of horizontal highs and lows. That they can often be kind of in channels, and this is exactly what we got. So during the overnight session, we had an end of trend. You can see it just there, kind of printed with some other kind of volume signals going off there. End of trend, and then we just bounced backwards and forward between these cyclical highs and lows on this 4,500 tip bar chart after an end. And you can see the this whole move was set up down at 1310. We'd had our flush signal. We had this kind of test down. It was almost like the third test down into 1312. All these blue professional bars kind of coming in. And then we break through cyclical resistance level, and we're away into an uptrend. And so now we have this cyclical pattern after that with a flush signal right at the end. We had kind of exhaustion buying into this move, kind of waiting for second cyclical turn after end of trend. On this one we get a flush signal here. So we kind of all played out on the upside on this time frame. So let's see kind of where we go from here, whether we're kind of going to break a support level or just do a little bit more kind of cyclical trading. And when we kind of know, I mean, I suppose all of this is kind of in retrospect kind of obvious. Like we know today's going to be, a low volume day, so it's not likely to break into a ranged trading move. So trading, but a trending move, I beg your pardon, trading the ranges is kind of the way to go. And then let me just show you this. We back it down onto the 500 tip bar chart. And these highs and lows were just perfectly marked with beautiful little end of trend signals. And in a kind of microcosm, this is what I look for. This is, we made a high up here after exhaustion, buying, bearish divergence at this point here. Market and a cyclical turn, market kind of sells off. The lows made at 27. We had our exhaustion selling on this peak. We pull back all of these amateur yellow bars kind of going up into this turning point. We come down to the end of trend warning signal here. It's bullish divergence, so less selling going on. So we've exhausted the selling, although we've made a slightly lower low. Blue professional bars kind of step in, and we go into an uptrend. And this cyclical turning point, just to go back to the 4,500 tip bar chart, is exactly this point here. So I talk about trend moves in lower time frames are equivalent to cycle moves in higher time frames. So we're playing off this cycle high to low on the 45, and it ends up being a trend move in the 500 tip bar chart. Then we set off on this trend move all the way up. I stopped trading here when we had this flush signal right at this point, which was the perfect entry point to kind of if you kind of miss this as an entry point, as kind of confirmation that this is the way this thing was going to go, with this flush signal right here at this cyclical support. And we kind of took off, continued to the upside, and so the high was made. So we get exhaustion buying signals coming into the first peak here, pull back a little bit of amateur activity down at the lows, push up to the highs, end of trend, professional blue bar right at the highs here. We had one up the highs here, and then a flush signal, flushing out the last of the buyers at that point, and then the market kind of sells off there. And again, this end of a trend move on this 500 tip bar chart is this cyclical turning point on the 4,500 tip bar chart, which happened to be a flush signal after this end of trend. So we kind of sold off a little bit harder. So in a little bit of a microcosm, that's what the better signals are all about. They're showing you kind of price exhaustion using a better sine wave, just measuring price alone, showing you when we're exhausted in terms of price here and here. And then you combine that with better momentum, which is showing you exhaustion in terms of selling activity and bullish divergence at the lows here, and then exhaustion buying activity, bearish divergence, and a flush signal in this case, showing you where we're kind of exhausted in terms of buying and selling volume, and then you put that together with the Pro-Am signals showing you where the professionals are kind of active, and the amateurs are getting wrong-footed, for example here, and it all kind of comes together. So I just had 2 trades, 2.25 points, but this was the trade of the day. I was out way too early, just too slow for me. It was just kind of glacial at the end. I'll put up my day trades, not that they of particular note today, but when you come to the charts at the end of the day, you just see these patterns kind of repeating again and again, and you think these things work out. Anyway, I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'll probably put up a video this weekend just talking about the commodity markets and the kind of risk on, risk off type trade. Interesting things going on at the moment. Dollar index is really sinking, and yet bonds are really powering ahead. And then we've got all kinds of cyclical turns happening in the risk on trades happening next week. So I think next week's going to be a very interesting week. So enjoy your weekend, and I'll put up that video in the next day and a half or so. I've just gone short 29.75, and the reason for getting short right now is just had a flush signal on the 500 tip bar chart. Blue professional bars up here, bearish divergence, got a cyclical turn. Got another one lining up on the 1500 tip bar chart. Extremely slow this morning, probably because everybody's heading off for a long weekend. But we've got consumer sentiment numbers and pending home sales coming out at 8:55 and 9 AM Chicago time. Okay, good. Blue professional bar on 1500 kind of come in, and we've got a cyclical turn about to show here. It's kind of almost like a triple top. We've got end of trend on the 4500 tip bar chart and some bearish divergence kind of pre-open, so like this to kind of turn around and go the other way, rush the other way, but let's see. So short 29.75. Holding this through some heat. I thought initially these Rambo patterns just up here would be okay, and we just kind of move over. We just spiked up to 32. But with exhaustion buying, blue professional bar was just kind of closed down, kind of a few minutes away from consumer sentiment kind of coming up. Blue professional bars kind of coming here on 45, so a little bit risky kind of up here at the moment here. Exhaustion on the 1500 kind of coming down, but I need it to go quickly in my favor rather than us kind of making a pullback and end of trend here with more kind of divergence patterns. So still holding, but I don't like it at the moment. Just close that out at 30.25, just for a half-point loss. The reason why I'm doing that is coming to a Rambo pattern kind of here, so we're going to get possibly a little bit of bounce on this kind of resistance here, just like that. And we're literally 4 minutes away from consumer sentiment kind of coming out, and I don't want to be caught in a pop to the upside. So I still think we're going to turn down, having seen all these kind of exhaustion patterns here, but the entry wasn't good, so just wait and see what happens. Just sit waiting for those numbers to come out. Yeah, just gone short at 30 even, and data release must have just come out. We have flush we had bearish divergence signals here as this rolled over. Kind of looking for this to get short again. Blue professional bar's going to come in. So not a great entry, but just hit the market order. See where this goes. Okay, it's a little bit better. We just kind of tested back up the entry at 30 here, blue professional bars, but hoping these are kind of falling through the ice. Kind of professionals kind of just selling short there, and we'll kind of keep going to the downside. Don't like these kind of Rambo patterns and amateur bars down here, but here we go, traveling a little bit further. So target's at 26, but I might increase that to 25.50 just to make up for that first losing trade. We get a little movement to the downside, so this is good. Let's keep holding short. Found a little bit of support at 27. We've got exhaustion selling on the 1500 tip bar chart, and support kind of cyclical support just printed here. A couple of no supply patterns, so we're testing back up, being led a little bit by the amateurs here. So still, because I've got no blue professional bars on the 15, expecting this to keep on going a little bit. So as soon as we kind of maybe bounce off that support becomes resistance, or just kind of break the lows of those amateur bars, kind of keep on going down. kind of this should travel to something like a cyclical turn on the 4500, but let's see. Still holding short 30 even. Just came out at 27.25. Suppose this might run a little bit to the downside, but the reason for coming out, we've got bullish divergence kind of coming on the 500 and 1500 tip bar chart. Blue professional bars on this kind of last little spike down into 27. We've got a cyclical turn, so this will be an end of trend kind of down here, and we're coming up to cyclical support on the 4500 tip bar chart. So bit of a shame. Maybe there's an opportunity to re-enter short, but I just think we'll probably get a little bit of a bounce from here, so better to take profits than kind of hang around. So that was only good for 2 3/4. So it's quite slow today. Let's hang around and see if there's another kind of setup comes up. Okay, it's just gone 9:35 and the market's moving incredibly slowly. I'm going to quit for the day. 2 trades, 2.25 points. The first trade was a half-point loss. Second trade, 2.75 winner. So just I think on days like this you get yourself into trouble. And there's no blue professional bars kind of down here on the 15 tip bar chart, so I'm still a little bit kind of unsure as to what the direction is. We've kind of held these 2 support levels, 3 support levels kind of down here at 27. So, and then we just had a flush signal on the 500. We might kind of go back up to test, but just uncomfortable with kind of trading it at the moment with just so little kind of movement happening. It's kind of glacial pace. Anyway, so that's me done for the day. I'll have a look at my charts at the end of the day, see if there's anything kind of worth posting about. So I hope you had a good day's trading. Enjoy your weekend.